Hello and welcome to Footsteps. Today we're going to be doing something slightly different. We're going to be travelling from Brazil all the way to the UK and then to Scotland. But why, I hear you ask? That sounds completely bonkers. Brazil, Scotland, they don't seem to be connected in any way. Well, let me just tell you, they are. That's right, my wife is Brazilian, she's from Sao Paulo, and these are the types of things that she has enjoyed most of her life in Brazil. The food, the carnival, and the outdoor markets, etc. All these things are part of her culture and things that she absolutely loves. Then left. Yeah, and she travelled all the way from Brazil to Sunnyside, Essex. That's right. That's where we live together. Just like millions of people across the world, our families were kind of separated because of the coronavirus in 2020, and we really weren't able to be part of any family unit at all. Not in Brazil, not in the UK. We were completely isolated and stuck in our house for just over a year. The only way to really stay in contact with family over that period was through Zoom. Wave at them and send them gifts and things that they could open, such as Brazilian Mother's Day gifts. And even though it grated on you growing up that your little brother was practicing on his violin, it actually becomes a really quite special and intimate moment online in the pandemic. Yeah, sounds like a cat getting it done without any anesthetic. When I say intimate, I mean family mercilessly taking the mick. Luckily, the country started to open up in 2020 and go visiting and exploring. We actually filmed this footage in 2019, but this is the first time that we've been able to really share it with you. Let's dive into the history of Inverness. Inverness Castle was captured by Jacobites in 1746 when they were defeated at Culloden in April. The rebels were sacked from the castle. A large fortification was built to prevent uprising from happening again. I don't know why he finds it so funny, but Inverness is often called the capital of the Highlands. Inverness means the mouth of the River Ness. It is an ancient settlement. In the 6th century AD, St. Columba is supposed to have visited the Pictish king Brewed at his fortress there. I wouldn't say it's exactly essential. This is our interpretation of the Scottish Ministry of City Walks. If you've never been to Inverness and you're a person who loves to shop, Inverness is considered to be the bustling cultural capital of the Scottish Highlands in a unique shopping destination where you can become lost for days. The city offers an array of large shopping centres and local shops. There's also markets and plenty of local farmers, artisans and merchants highlight their freshest produce and finest wares all over the place. You know, the public's fascination with storming Area 51 has now extended to some other mysteries around the world, but the latest subject of the potential raid carries lore much older than the military base itself, the Lochness monster. Even with all of our technology, such as mobile phones, people are still fascinated to know if the Loch Ness monster actually exists in the loch.
So we're in Loch Ness for our second trial of the year. We're up here with 4 underwater robots, 2 Autosub long-range vehicles, an EcoSub and Autosub Hover 1. Autosub long-range 1, we are testing our new collision avoidance, sonar and collision avoidance algorithms, as well as behaviours for operation under ice. With ALR 3, we've got Biocam, a sensor from the University of Southampton integrated. We're flying close to the lock bottom to take photos. EcoSub is running missions in the bay, taking data from acoustic sensor nodes. And Autosub Hover 1 is going through its initial in-water testing to tune the controllers and for initial open water missions. So we're halfway through the trial. The robots have been in the water, we've run some really successful missions, the sun's shining and the rest of the week's looking good.
In 1933, the Loch Ness Monster's legend began to grow. At the time, a road adjacent to Loch Ness was finished, offering an unobstructed view of the lake. In April, a couple saw an enormous animal which they compared to a dragon or a prehistoric monster. Well, we thought that we had the best opportunity to see the Loch Ness Monster by staying at the Loch Ness Shores Camping and Caravan Club, just adjacent to Loch Ness itself. Unexplained sightings of something mysterious lurking in Loch Ness were at the highest level this century during 2019. A total of 18 sightings were recorded on the official Loch Ness Monster Sightings Register, the highest since 1983. Gary Cambell, who keeps the register, believed there were various reasons for the bumper number of reported sightings. Number one, the availability of the webcam has given many more people the chance to look at the loch, and there have been record numbers of people visiting the area and the attractions, including Urquhart Castle. He said, "In the connected digital world we live in now, people are taking photos and sending them to us. They want to know what it is and then they're reporting it." While the aim has been to improve knowledge of the plants and animals in the loch, they also put forward the theory that Nessie could be a giant eel based on the amount of eel DNA they discovered. But the question is, what do you think? Do you think it's an eel? Let us know in the comment section below. That's a lot to ponder, but while they're figuring it out, I'm going to have a little walk around the loch. We hope that you're really enjoying this video. We're enjoying making it, but if you do, please like and subscribe, and also hit that notification bell. That way you won't miss any further uploads on this channel. It also helps with the algorithm for YouTube on this channel too. So thank you once again. You didn't just fall in the stream, did you? You know, we don't know if the Loch Ness Monster actually exists, but there are people out there who do. And one person in particular has an affinity with Loch Ness and the Loch Ness Monster.
I first came here when I was a 7-year-old boy in 1970 on a family holiday, and at that time there was an expedition and they had this tripod on the end of this platform sticking out of the hillside, and the camera lens on this tripod was 1 meter long. It just amazed me as a small boy, 7-year-old child, seeing grown men in Britain looking for monsters. And I just fell in love with the whole mystery and the whole adventure and just got hooked on the whole subject. The first written account of anything here at Loch Ness is actually in 565 AD, and through the centuries after that, the locals always reported seeing what they used to describe as giant mystery fish, and most of those sightings can be dismissed as people's hopeful imagination, but there's reliable eyewitnesses that are describing the back of something, like an upturned boat with the skin of an elephant, so a grey, tough skin, very fast, very big, and very unexplained. In 1934 there was one photograph taken which is called the surgeon's photograph, and it's the classic neck sticking up out of the water. Unfortunately, it got proven to be a fake, but we still have other great pieces of evidence. There was a film shot in 1960 by a guy called Tim Dinsdale, and the thing going off across the water and then along the far shore in the water is, to this date, unexplained.
We've been enjoying our trek around Lochness. It's a 360-degree trail, which is about 130 kilometres or 81 miles. Which leads us to one of the most fascinating and tragic events in Scottish history. In the early afternoon in April in 1746. Now it's snowing. Surprisingly in Scotland. The very last pitched battle took place on British soil and came to a tragic end. For the losing side, it was a bloody affair. It's really snowing quite a lot. From reports from the time stating that the battlefield was thick with the dead, the most tragic battle, the Battle of Culloden. To understand this battle, we first need to understand the Jacobite Rebellion, which took place decades earlier. The Jacobite Rebellion was a complex and nuanced period of time in the British Isles history, beginning with the Glorious Revolution of 1688 and ending with the death of Prince Charles Edward Stuart, commonly being known as Bonnie Prince Charlie or the Young Pretender. In 1788, it happened when the Roman Catholic monarch of England, Ireland and Scotland, from the House of Stuart, known as James VII in Scotland and James II in England, was overthrown in the Glorious Revolution of 1688.
He was replaced by his daughter Mary and her husband William of Orange, who co-reigned until Mary's death 5 years later, with William of Orange solely reigning until his death in 1702. After William's death, Mary's sister Anne reigned as queen until 1714, when the throne was passed to King George I of the House of Hanover. Over the coming years and decades, there were multiple instances of Jacobite revolt, with an overarching aim of these revolts being the restoration of the House of Stuart to power. Food and resources were scarce, with Jacobite soldiers living off a ration of just 3 biscuits a day. A letter from a British soldier who fought in the battle suggests that the Jacobite commanders picked the moor because they mistakenly thought that British cannons would get bogged down and be unusable in the battle. The Jacobite army consisted of 5,000 men and lacked other capabilities compared to the comprehensive 9,000 strong army the Duke headed. Outnumbered, the Jacobite army was sliced through by the British cavalry. In just under an hour, approximately 1,300 men were killed, around 1,250 of which were Jacobites.
The Jacobite morning service runs from Monday the 26th of April until Friday the 29th of October 2021, running 7 days a week. Described as the greatest railway journey in the world, this 84-mile round trip takes you past a list of impressive extremes. Starting near the highest mountain in Britain, Ben Nevis, it visits Britain's most westerly mainland railway station, Essex, passes close to the deepest freshwater loch in Britain, Loch Morror, and shortest river in Britain, River Morror. Finally, arriving next to the deepest seawater loch in Europe, Lochness. Mallaig is the destination, but as the travelling is as much a part of the experience as the arrival, we hope that you'll enjoy this spectacular railway journey, regarded as one of the greatest in the world. The traditionally furnished first-class carriages allows you to travel in style. First-class carriage A is an open compartment with private tables for 2 and tables for 4 at either side of the aisle. All tables include traditional table lamps, and upholstered seats are more luxurious with extra legroom. First-class passengers can also receive complimentary tea or coffee on each part of the journey. The West Coast Railway supplied the engine and carriages used in the filming of the Harry Potter movies. Way back when, Warner Brothers approached West Coast Railways in an effort to source a steam engine suitable to carry Harry Potter and his friends on the most magical of journeys. Little did we know that whatever engine they chose would become the most famous locomotive in the world. Did you see that? Wow. That's really good. What a shot. Pottermania is a phenomenon that shows no signs of slowing down. And for fans of the franchise, there is a real-life Hogwarts Express that you can ride through Scotland, as seen here. The train runs on the Mallaig extension of the West Highland Line, which opened in 1901. The train itself has been running as a popular tourist route since the 1980s. One reviewer from TripAdvisor, Lance Johnson, said, although expensive, it has excellent scenery. You pass by major filming locations used in the movie, the Harry Potter Bridge, Glenfinnan Viaduct, the place where Dumbledore is buried, the place where the train stops when the Dementors visit. Ugh. This is Scotland.
Back from another funeral. Why should I stay awake?
You know, the Scottish landscape is dotted with castles at almost every turn. In fact, there are more than 1,500 castles in Scotland with their architecture and styles reflecting the country's history. Many lie in ruins, while many others continue to be used as homes or as castle stays in Scotland. But my favourite is Urquhart Castle.
Kind of virus am I to you? Crazy of the night, I am the view. We make a castle to ruin.
We loved it so much, we threw some rocks in from its beach.
And now we see it all tumbling down.
And you can even admire Urquhart Castle from a Jacobite ferry boat ride.
Just like us, they do what we do. With one exception, we do it better.
Urquhart Castle overlooks the loch from the rocky promontory that dominates and upon which famous names have set foot.
Breaking on, we're breaking on. What kind of virus am I to?
Urquhart Castle has a lively history. It was one of the greatest castles taken by the English when Edward I invaded in 1296. Also, back in the 1500s, Clan Grant was given the castle and charged with its repair and bringing it back into use. great. This castle is rock and roll. Urquhart Castle was garrisoned for the last time in 1689, following the exile of the Catholic King James VII and his replacement by the Protestant monarchs William II and Mary II in 1692. The towering gatehouse was deliberately blown up so that the castle could never again be a military stronghold. If you're ever in Inverness, there's a lovely little cafe about 2 or 3 miles down the road called Cameroons. It's a bit of a secret really, but I'll leave the details in the notifications down below. They serve excellent local food, local produce, fresh, and they're ready and available. They have lovely tea and lovely coffee, an amazing selection of cakes. So if you're ever there, check it out. Well, I know what you're thinking. You're saying to yourself, well, what's that got to do with having a Brazilian wife? Well, in some ways, nothing at all. But in some ways, quite a lot, because I'm actually half Scottish. And to have Karen come and visit Scotland with me has been a wonderful adventure. And it can be your adventure too. Scotland is just simply gorgeous in every way. The loch, the countryside, the food, the people, the towns and the cities. You should go and visit. But if you've watched this video all the way through to the end, then thank you very much. It means a lot to us. We hope you really enjoyed it. There's so much to see and do in Scotland. But please don't hesitate to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you won't miss any further uploads. For now, we're going to leave you with this. Lang may ye Lamriek, which means, I hope you live long.